Welcome back, Cohort B and Cohort V. So you should have looked at the loom from the workbook of me going through the answers, so hopefully that helped. Also, we're going to take notes today, and then you're going to have to upload these notes as well as workbook page 6 when you're finished. Okay, so we're going to solve simple equations. You guys should be actually pros at this. I know you've done this last year. I think you actually got into 2 steps. But we're going to go back to the basic just as a refresher since it's been a while. So when you're solving simple equations are just one-step equations. Your goal is always to get the variable alone. You're doing that because you want to kind of cancel it out by using inverse operations. So if you have a plus sign, addition, the opposite is subtraction. If you have multiplication, the opposite is division, and vice versa. So you want to look at the variable. You want to see what's being done to the variable, and you want to do the opposite operation. So for number 1, we have h minus 12 equals negative 27. So if you need to, circle that h and cover it up. And I always say, what's being done to that h? Well, I see a minus 12. So you want to do the opposite and add 12 to both sides. Now this year, you guys can use calculators right away. So you want to bring the h down. The negative 12 and positive 12 cancel out. Negative 27 plus 12 is negative 15. Okay. If you feel confident with these, I say pause this, do number 2 and 3, and then check your answers. So number 2, again, you circle x, see what's being done to x. You're adding 4. So you want to do the opposite and subtract 4 from both sides. So you get x equals 24. Remember, equations are like a scale. You want to keep it balanced. So whatever you do to the left side, you must do to the right side to keep it the same. Number 3 is a little different because you have the y behind it, but it's still a negative 7. So the opposite of negative 7 is a positive 7. Positive 7 cancels out, y equals negative 11. Okay. Same thing for 4. Subtract 17 from both sides because we're solving for j. So negative 39 and a negative 17 give you negative 56. 5, I gave you a decimal. So you want to, it's plus 4.2, so you want to subtract 4.2. A negative and a negative, remember you add them up, keep the sign. So you should get negative 7. Okay, now, obviously I can't count because that was 5 and then we went to 7. That's okay. For this one, I'm sure some of you see fractions and you start to sweat. So we're going to use our calculator. So we have, let's just show it though. Even though you're using your calculator, you still have to show what you're doing. So you're going to subtract 4/5 from both sides. So I believe that you guys used the 4-function calculator last year. So I'm going to show you how to do this in your new calculator. So we're going to do 2/3 minus 4/5. So here we go. You want to hit the 2, and then you want to hit the ABC key, and then the 3. That gives you 2/3. And then you want to subtract the 4, this ABC key, 5 equals. And that gives you negative 2/15. Okay? So it's negative 2/15. So if you want to write a little note here for a fraction, you do for like 2/3, you would do 2, and then that ABC key, 3, and that would give you 2/3. Okay. Now the next one looks something like there's something different, but you guys should have learned this last year. Absolute value of a number. Absolute value of a number makes it positive. Hopefully you guys know why. Why would it make it positive? Because the absolute value represents the distance from 0. So no matter which direction you're going, you're still walking a positive distance. So the absolute value of negative 14 becomes positive 14. I'm going to subtract this. And then a negative and a negative, you add them, keep the sign. Negative 28. At the bottom is a little word problem from geometry. It says the interior of a triangle, the angles are x, 27, and 82. So sometimes it does help to write it out. So the first thing you have to know is how many degrees are in a triangle. I hope you guys know that they add up to 180. So you have x plus 82 plus 27 equals 180. You can't solve this yet until you combine these numbers here. So you have x plus 109 equals 180. You subtract 109, that last angle is 71 degrees. So pause that there if you need to finish writing that. And then the next page is just multiplication and division. This is pretty straightforward. If you have a 4 and an x, if they're right next to each other, that represents multiplication. So you want to do the opposite and divide that 4 out. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So you just write x. We don't want to put a 1 there. We want to clean it up and just put x. Negative 12 divided by 4 is a negative 3. I would stop here if you're pretty good with this and do 2 and 3 and then check your answers. This is negative 8 times w. The common error is people want to add this. It's not negative 8 plus w, it's negative 8 times w. So you want to go through and divide that out. Negative 88 divided by negative 8 is a positive 11. And then the last one, you have a decimal. If you don't know it, you can use your calculator. It's negative 1.5 times x, so you're going to divide through by negative 1.5, and you should get negative 40. All right, the next ones are, well, they're kind of mixed. This one is x divided by 3. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. To keep it balanced, I'm going to multiply this by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that cancels out. 1.2 times 3 gives us 3.6. Same thing here. It's 1/4 times x, so it's times 4 times 4. Okay, so you get x equals negative 32. These cancel out. So x over 4 is the same as 1/4 x, because there's a 1 in front there. So this is the same exact thing. You would still multiply by 4. Hopefully you guys remember what a reciprocal is. It's when you flip the fraction. So if I want to get rid of this, a fraction times its reciprocal always equals 1. So if I multiply this by it flipped, remember you have to multiply by it flipped on this side. So you get negative 6 over negative 6, which just is x. Then you go straight across. 7 times 3 is 21 over negative 2. If you want to divide that out, you get negative 10.5 for that. The rest you should try on your own and then hit start and see if you get these correct. For 7, you want to multiply by 7 because you're dividing by 7. And then you get y equals negative 21. Let's see how good your math skills are for the next one. You have negative 1.7 times x. You want to divide by negative 1.7. I'm going to do this in my head real quick. You get 9. Just kidding. I have my answer key here. But again, I would put that in your calculator. Try and get used to the new calculator you guys are using. Okay? Now, 9 is a little bit tricky. Some of you would have to do it in 2 steps. Some of you can do it in 1. So most of you would say, well, let's multiply by 2 because you're dividing by 2. So if I multiply by 2 here, the 2's wipe out, but look what I'm left with. I'm left with this, which is okay, because remember, that's a negative 1. So my last step would be to divide that out to just get x. Okay? Another way to do it is if you see a negative. If there's a negative in the top or bottom, the whole fraction's negative. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So you can just multiply that by -2 first, and then you're done. Oh, I did math bad here, right? This is 20. Sorry about that. Okay, there you go. You're probably like, what is she doing? Okay, so that's it for the notes. I got it under 11 minutes for you. Again, you can pause, rewind, ask me any questions, give me feedback. If you really think I'm going too fast for you and you know, you have to keep pausing, I can do them longer. I just don't want to keep you guys on this video for so long. So you guys are going to do workbook page 6, and you're going to upload a picture of the notes and the workbook. Have a good day.